I did theater throughout all of high school, which means I can say with 100% certainty that every stereotype about theater kids is true. Every single one. I mean, you take a bunch of kids whose one talent is being good at lying and knowing all the words to Hamilton, and you stuff them all in one room for an hour every day. It's gonna look like the Russian sleep experiment eventually. I joined theater sophomore year and took theater fundamentals. We were stuffed in a classroom right under the gym Harry Potter style, so you could hear random footsteps all the time. The school also made the brave decision to put our classroom right next to JRTC, so we obviously hated each other. I'm gonna call my theater teacher Vine, because they would always quote Vines, as any good theater teacher does. They also were very unattached. I thanked Vine once for being a good teacher at the end of the year, and they just looked at me, and then sang, "Thank you for being a friend," then left. They were fun. Fundamentals was before we could perform actual plays, so we mostly got handed busy work, but by the end of the year, we got to, as a class, write, cast, and perform whatever we wanted. My theater class had been talking about Diary of the Wimpy Kid books the whole year. Like, it was scary how much it just manifested itself. So the unanimous decision was easy on what to create. And the people chose me to play Greg, which, thanks guys. No, really, thanks. It was a really fun opportunity. I was born for this role anyways. Diary of the Wimpy Kid is legitimately the only book I read throughout all of elementary school. The last day of elementary school, my reading teacher literally yelled to my friend, "Make sure he reads something else!" We wrote the script as a class, and my friend who played Rowley had to wear a wig to give her a bowl cut. God, he looks stupid. To get into the Greg Heffley character, it was quite simple, really. I just was myself. The basic plot was mostly just the movie, which we didn't copy. There was some new stuff. Greg and Rowley went around different extracurriculars, seeing if this would be the thing that would bring them into popularity. There was the wrestling scene with Patty. I always remember being really dramatic when Patty shoved me to the floor, because, hello, attention seeker, you gotta keep up. We even had a theater section where we had a really cute line with Greg storming out saying, "Who even likes theater? It's only for a bunch of stuck-up jerks." Har har. Then we had the movie thing with Greg and Rowley having to take care of kindergartners during a storm, which we had played by a bunch of people resting on their knees. So basically I could walk to any part of the stage and they had to follow me like this. This is awesome. Then Greg leads the kindergartners into a ditch, then leaves and blames it on Rowley. And then we get the iconic line, "Don't call me. Don't come by my house." Big difference in our version, Roderick was the one to give Greg a big pick-me-up and get him to apologize to Rowley. And can I say, I know you people like yourself some movie Roderick, but our Roderick was just better. Then he apologizes, throwing a zooey mama, and wham wham boom, the play is over. Now, when word got around that the theater kids were doing Diary of the Wimpy Kid, a handful of people actually did show up during their lunch periods just to watch it, so the pressure was on. I had a monologue in the very opening scene, essentially setting up my family and how I write in this journal. We brought a real Diary of the Wimpy Kid book to use as the journal, but it was my first time ever acting in front of a crowd, so I entirely forgot the monologue. So I freezed for a moment, and then went, yeah, then left the stage. We moved on with the show, and it went off without another hitch. But it's hard, because in theater, your mind only wants you to focus on what you messed up on, rather than what you actually succeeded at. But that was just the introduction to theater. I did shows all throughout high school. I joined advanced theater, which just meant that we could be performing in actual shows. How our system worked throughout the year was we had one fall show that was a competition with other schools, one tiny winter show that was done for little kids, the musical, the biggest show that everyone could audition for, even if they weren't in the actual class of advanced theater, then one last spring show. I know I can't talk about every show I did in a single video, but I really wanted to talk about my favorite production, Clue! Yeah, the board game Clue. But the board game Clue turned into a movie. Then the movie script turned into a play. I wanted to be Mr. Green. We auditioned by doing cold reads, which essentially means with a script in your hand going throughout the scene with a handful of other actors. So in this instance, we did the confession scene, where we confess to all the individual crimes we have committed. All 6 of the Clue characters in the play are criminals, being blackmailed to stay in a mansion then comedy and murder ensues. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be the best at things like auditions. Plus, being a boy in theater gave me an onslaught of advantages in the casting process, just due to the fact that boys are way scarcer to come by in a theater program. But if you're auditioning for anything like this, my one word of advice is to make choices. Most directors are looking for you to make the character your own, so making unique character choices for things like body language, voice, or just choosing how to read the line can make you really stand out in a good way. Like for me, I didn't really plan it out at all, but 5 minutes before actually auditioning, I decided I was going to say Miss Scarlet's line in the script as Miss Scarlet. I don't know why, it just felt right in my head. And I ended up with the role. And people thought it was funny, so I started to slowly intentionally fuck up my lines more and more whenever it felt right, until it kind of became my character's accent. I don't know what accent, maybe Argentinian. Mr. Green was fun because his character was a klutzy, fruity, scaredy cat. There's this dinner scene, and every time the gong is hit, I gotta spit out apple cider everywhere. There's a scene where the chandelier is shot, and I got a slow-mo dodge a dropping chandelier above my head being controlled by Vine. There were multiple times in the script where it called for me to fall, something I had great practice in. I fell a little too hard though, and due to us practicing going through the show sometimes multiple times every day in the last final 2 weeks, my legs were purple. It was completely my fault too. I made sure that those falls were authentic. There's one scene where I have to put on gloves to grab a key from a dead body, like it states it in the script that I'm putting them on. So I try, and they're these crappy latex gloves, and it ends up taking about 30 seconds of me finagling with them to put them on, which is like 3 hours in theater time. And finally, after what felt like forever, they just ripped. It's okay, I made a moment out of it, then grabbed the key. Spoilers for the show in 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool, I didn't think you cared either. So they go around the mansion as multiple people are killed, with everyone suspecting the murderer is amongst them, and the twist is that they're all the murderer. Well, except for Mr. Green, who isn't Mr. Green at all. He's an undercover FBI agent. So during the whole play, the FBI agent, Larry Goodman, is collecting evidence. So for half of the show, I have to carry 6 individual pieces of evidence on my body. And some is easy, like a paper note, but others were more difficult, like a book. The fun part is after Larry Goodman reveals himself, it's a real Jekyll and Hyde moment where scaredy cat Mr. Green morphs into annoying Giga Chad Larry Goodman, the FBI agent. And I was Greg Heffley. I know how to play a narcissist. So this entire last scene, I get to boast about how great I am. I did rolls across the stage, making uncomfortable eye contact with the perps, I mean people. I'm really trying to sell how great I think I am. One show I even made the audience clap for me, as I screamed, "Yes! I am awesome!" Then victorious music plays and the show ends. Ah, what a great show. No, but in reality, one of the best aspects of the show was it being an ensemble show. I got to work alongside some really talented people, and it was a blast playing off of each other. Theater is extracurricular with high highs and low lows, but I wouldn't trade my time spent in theater for a thing. I would highly recommend giving it a shot, whether it be acting or tech. Because hey, you'll never know who you'll meet. Oh, also subscribe.